Welcome to Only Murders in My Mind. Hello, it's Thursday, it's 5 p.m. and it's Only Murders in My Mind with Liz Hedgecock.
Hello.
And Michael Jackson.
Oh, my posh name today.
It's a Sunday name.
Hello, both of you. And how are you, Elizabeth?
I'm fine. Sincerest felicitations, Michael.
We're glad to see you back, Mike.
Thank you. It's nice to be back.
We have missed you. We were very, very grateful for your input from afar, all the notes that you gave us and everything.
Yeah. It's funny, you're not the first person to say that they like my input from afar.
And what have you been doing since you got better? A few holidays here and there?
Yes, well, up to Northumbria recently, and actually it fits in with... we're going to try a new format today, and each of us have got a different subject that we want to talk about. And I'm going to be talking about the Roman poisoner later, which fits in, and I'll tell you more later on, fits in with a trip my wife and I did to Alnwick Gardens and to their poison garden.
I've heard of that.
Lovely.
Yes.
Yes, there's a tale to that, which I'll save.
I was on a trip to that area with a certain coach company, and we went past that castle and somebody pointed and said there's a poison garden in there, and I'm thinking I'd love to go in there, but we just went past.
Yeah.
So we didn't have time that day.
Well, maybe you can hear about it later.
I'm very interested to know what it's about.
Oh, go on, I'll tell you then. It won't spoil the story later. But the point, anybody who's ever been to Alnwick Gardens, fantastic gardens next to Alnwick Castle. And Alnwick Castle, they actually filmed some of Harry Potter, Hogwarts there.
Ah.
But the gardens are fantastic. And over in one corner, they've got it fenced off, and it's their poison garden. And you can only go in by appointment. You have to have a guide. They unlock the door and take you around.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. And I might look it up more for a future episode. But they show you all sorts of ordinary plants you've got in your back garden. And then the guide then tells you just how poisonous they are. Absolutely fascinating. And one of the things, apparently, every year, they reckon that, I don't know, 20 more so people actually faint while they're giving this tour around the poison garden. Whether it's just too much for them, I don't know. Halfway through the garden halfway through the tour, my wife fainted, was violently sick, and we then spent the next 7 hours in A&E. She's all right.
I'm just wondering if there's some plant with dodgy fumes or something where
that some people are very susceptible. Yes,
yeah.
that'd be my thought.
Apparently, I mean, I'm not very good with plants and so on, but there is a laurel bush, I think. Apparently, there was a story that this guide, she was brilliant, by the way, was telling us where somebody had cut down a laurel bush, stuffed it into plastic bags to take to the tip.
Oh, right.
By the time they got to the tip, they'd fainted because apparently there's some poison within laurel bushes that when you enclose them, it comes out and can cause fainting and all sorts. Yeah, absolutely. If you ever get a chance to go, it's well worth a visit.
See, I'm worried I'd be a fainter now.
Yes.
I'd be making sure I was standing next to something soft just in case.
Well, I have to say their first aid setup there is excellent. So if you do faint...
well, there's a reason for that, isn't there?
Getting the vapours.
I've had a lot of practice.
What have you been up to this week, Liz? Not fainting?
Oh, I've been plotting.
Oh.
So I'll say a bit more about that later.
Excellent. Okay.
And I've been to your local library as well today, which was interesting.
Oh, the Hub.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think they're all called the Hub. A lot of them.
Yes.
A lot of the
I have a
around
book which
Warrington.
hopefully is going to help me a bit. So
Excellent.
I will show you later.
That's
Talking about books, Anne and I went to Waterstones this morning in Altrincham. Had a lovely time. We had a £50 book voucher to spend.
Oh,
so
now
we had
then.
a Beano. And I picked up a book which I'm going to start later on today called The Lost Diaries of Samuel Pepys.
Ooh.
It's like a historical story, but done in the style of Samuel Pepys's diaries.
Right.
I shall report back.
Right.
So did you get lots of stamps on your Waterstones card?
Yes, got lots of stamps on our Waterstone card as well.
So I'm going to start this. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about a particular subject that we find fascinating, and The other two people are going to fire questions and
or just interrupt.
generally interrupt.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, it's a complete departure from what we normally do,
Yes.
obviously.
We might even go off on a tangent every now and again.
Oh, steady on, Mike.
I know. We're getting a bit bold.
we
I
don't
think.
do that. So one of the things I am going to talk about is, the only thing I'm going to talk about is Fargo. And the reason I'm going to talk about this is because a couple of weeks ago we watched it on family film night. And
Is this the film or the
this
series?
was the film, because I had
Ah.
seen the series.
I love the film.
And,
Sorry to interrupt, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
Right,
I
will.
I'm thinking of Wells Fargo, but
It's
then I'm
in,
just.
it's in North Dakota, is Fargo, and it's very, very cold and snowy.
It's very yes.
So
is.
it's not Wells Fargo, the cowboy.
No, I'm
that
sure.
No.
I'm
I
sure
used to
Wells
watch when I was a
Fargo-
child.
No.
Wells Fargo's probably got something to do with it in history. No, I got hooked on the series, and the series followed the film, and the film was in 1996, but I'd never seen the film, so
I went to the cinema to see it.
Carol, I still don't know what film you're talking
I
about.
will-
Fargo. It's called
Fargo.
Fargo, and
I
it's
know.
got crime in it.
I've worked that bit out.
yes, I'm going to tell you the plot without giving too much.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
it's
okay.
it's a
Too many
Coen
spoilers.
Brothers film.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that doesn't help me.
Oh, well, what do you want to know? Come
I
on,
don't
fire
know
some-
what it's. Go
Stop
on, Carol.
whinging and
Right.
ask a question.
Okay.
Told you it was going to be a different format.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like being at home with a teenager.
This film is classed as a black comedy. I'd agree with that.
Oh, yes.
And as you
Yeah.
said, the Coen Brothers. Yeah. Yeah. And it's...
Poor
the-
Mike's completely confused.
I have the foggiest idea what they're talking about.
The plot is that a man that sells cars for a living, who works for his father-in-law, has got this idea about going into real estate, but he needs to raise money and nobody will take him up on this. So he comes up with a plot and it's absolutely ridiculous. He hires two men to kidnap his wife and get a ransom from her father so that he's going to pay them the agreed amount for kidnapping the wife, keep the rest and put it into this project that he's got. But of course it doesn't
It
go.
goes a bit wrong.
It goes very, very wrong. And where it all falls down, as I say, I don't want to say too much because that would completely, if anybody wants to watch it. And I thought that the film echoed the first series very well because that's what the first series was. It was.
I
Basically
didn't get
the
on
film.
with the first series.
No.
I think because I'd watched the film and it was like,
Why? Yeah.
I've seen this. And also it didn't have Marge.
No. Well,
How many series were there?
I think there were 5.
5 series
Five
about
series.
potential kidnap of a wife.
No, each
Oh,
one,
thank
each
goodness.
one, each one was. So they were all,
Oh,
they
that'd
were
be a
all,
bit
bit, yeah,
slow,
five
wouldn't it?
seasons. They started in June 2014 and they ended in January 2024. I'm sure I've not seen that last series in that case.
Are they still available? Can you find them on Netflix?
Oh yeah, you can get them.
Oh,
all.
right.
just watch the film. It's
Yeah, yeah.
Film's ace.
Marge is a local police chief in the vicinity where these kidnappers stop and actually start murdering people because it all goes.
They get surprised by
Yes.
someone and it all goes a bit.
Yeah, a state trooper stops them just because they've got a backlight that's wrong.
Yeah.
One of the two kidnappers is a psychopath. You know, he doesn't ask questions.
And one
He
of the
just-
others is Steve Buscemi. So you can imagine. And he's kind of funny looking more than most people.
He just, it's it's like I'm not gonna answer those questions, and gets his very big revolver out and shoots the poor policeman, and then she gets involved. Now
Oh, Marge is great.
yeah, she's a heavily pregnant police chief, and when you look
She's
at
very
the-
calm.
everything's like yeah. What do you think? Yeah. That's where they talk, isn't it? It's like from Sweden or somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's an area where there's a lot of immigration from Sweden.
The Nordic countries.
Yeah, the Nordic countries.
Yes. And you think
Like
to yourself,
Pennsylvania Dutch, I suppose.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And when I was watching the film, I was looking at her and I was thinking, how can this woman who is, she does everything slowly. I mean, you know she's pregnant. How can she possibly solve this crime? And she's so polite to everybody.
And she eats so much.
Yes, she's always eating.
She's always eating.
Always
It's brilliant.
eating. But the thing is, she's a bit like Columbo. Once she gets her teeth into somebody, she will not give up until she's got the answer that she's looking for. and the death toll just goes up and up and up. And it says
Carol
it,
said that with a big smile on her face.
Well, we know Carol.
and the irony of it is, at the beginning of the film and at the beginning of every episode on the series, they go, "This is based on a true story." It's not.
No.
Hate to spoil it for people, but it isn't. And I looked and said, well, how can they say that? And they basically said it's poetic license,
Yes.
you know. But it is absurd. But it's, you know what they say?
But it's great.
Yeah, oh, it is. Truth
There's
is
the
stranger than fiction.
cinematography, and
Yeah.
it's like it's the middle of nowhere, and it's all snowy, and they drive out to places. And
Yeah,
it's
it's white out and all this
Yeah.
sort of thing, you know. There was one bit where a body's been he's trying to get rid of a body in a wood chipper.
You're making this even, you know, as you carry on. So I just think to
Oh,
myself,
you should-
I can't wait to get home.
You
and-
should watch it because it is great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and
No,
the
it
car
does-
salesman is brilliant. It's William H. Macy.
Right.
So yeah, and Frances McDormand is Marge. So it's got a great cast.
I think she got an Oscar.
I think she did. Yeah,
For
she
the
deserved it
film.
as well.
It was nominated for about 5 Oscars and it
Yeah.
won 2. So that shows you what a good film it was. And for a while it was in the top 10 of American crime films. It's dropped way out now, but
Well, it shouldn't have done.
yeah.
'cause it's
Isn't it
ace.
strange how, you know, something as horrendous as murder, if it's put into sort of comedy and black comedy, you not only accept it, you almost laugh at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember my wife and I watched a Netflix film. I couldn't for the life of you tell you what it was about, and it was billed as a comedy. And in the first 2 minutes, there was a drugs raid or something, and it all went wrong. And suddenly, everybody was shooting at everybody else, and there were heads flying off, there were arms flying off, there was blood everywhere,
Ew.
and it was so silly that you couldn't help but, I know it doesn't sound it, but it was so silly you couldn't help but laugh at it because you couldn't take it seriously. And I just find that such a conundrum that something as horrendous as murder,
Yeah.
we can still find.
it's that
In a strange
hysterical
way,
laugh,
humour.
isn't it? It's the
Yeah. Am I seeing what I think I'm seeing, or
Yeah.
the thing where it's just gone past where it's believable? And you're
That's
like,
right.
This is a
Yeah.
this is a film. This
Yeah.
is not a real film.
like the knights getting their in the Monty Python Holy Grail,
Oh,
getting their
yes.
arms chopped off.
Yeah.
Show me here, I'll bite your legs off.
So
Whatever it is.
that's my little contribution to.
Well, I think you've
tonight's
set the scene
podcast.
beautifully.
So if you haven't watched Fargo, watch
Oh,
Fargo
yeah.
because it's ace.
If I went into it in any more depth, it would spoil it for you, and I'd hate to spoil a really good film. To you know.
Oh, and the music's top as well.
Oh yes, there's
Yeah.
some good
Score
tracks.
by Carter Burwell.
Yes,
I think I've got the soundtrack somewhere. In fact,
excellent
Mm.
film.
And can I just say to our listeners that, you know, not only did Carol enjoy talking about those murders, but she's dressed in red today to.
I'm sure that's not significant in any way.
Purely coincidental, I'm sure.
Oh dear. So, what did you research, Mike?
Well, I found a story about. I'm going back now to 1st century AD.
A while
Rome.
ago, then.
A while ago. And just imagine, just picture, and this is called the Roman poisoner. Just picture ancient Rome, 1st century AD, all toga parties and backstabbing. Dangerous
Is
place.
it at the toga parties or
Yeah.
not?
Oh, yeah. I think it is actually.
Okay.
Dangerous place to live, especially if you're anywhere near the imperial family. But for one woman, danger wasn't just something to avoid; it was something she brewed up in a bottle. And her name was Locusta. I like that, sort of locust with an A on the end. Is it Locusta? Locusta? Anyway, we'll say Locusta.
Locusta, probably like Jocasta.
And she was a poisoner. Not just any poisoner, she was the poisoner of Rome.
So was she the known poisoner of Rome, or was this?
She was, yes.
So
You
she
know-
had a sign outside a door.
And if you
Roman
need
yellow pages.
if you need somebody quietly removed from the dinner table, Locusta was your go-to girl. Now, we're not talking about petty assassinations here. She wasn't interested in the sort of minor squabbles or the odd love rival. No, she played with the big boys. Emperors, empresses, imperial heirs. And she did it all with a little vial, a suspicious mushroom, and probably a bit of a knowing wink. Now, Locusta, apparently, her early life is a bit of a mystery. She might have come from Gaul, which is modern-day France.
Yep. I know that from Asteris.
So we can sort of
Yes.
imagine her with a a little accent and a devilish grin.
Oh, me, mama.
Yeah. Something like that, Carol.
May we.
And she made a name for herself in Rome with her skill set.
Well, maybe she was a gourmet poisoner, being French.
Mixing deadly toxins, yeah. And then into the arena comes Agrippina, that's the one. Agrippina the younger, and she's the mother of Nero.
I remember her.
Oh, yeah.
Not personally,
No,
you
I was gonna
understand.
say.
She wasn't
Latin
very
at
nice
school.
either.
Well, I don't think any of them were.
No.
But apparently she's got one ambition in life, and that's to see her darling boy Nero sitting on the imperial throne, becoming emperor. And she's got one problem, and that's her husband, the present Emperor Claudius, is still very much alive, always a problem, and rather fond of his own son, Britannicus. So Agrippina does what any loving mother should do in ancient Rome. She calls up Locusta. Locusta is naturally thrilled. Not every day you get to poison the emperor. So she whips up a delightful little concoction. And some people say it was mixed with mushrooms, which is Claudius's favourite snack. Another said it was in a feather used to help him vomit. Yeah, really. They must have waved it. And
I imagine it tickled the back of his throat.
Yeah.
Well, they have vomitoria, didn't they?
Anyway, he turns a nasty colour, chokes, and
Allegedly.
dies rather dramatically. And with Claudius out the way, Nero, just 17 years old and already a bit of a drama queen, becomes the emperor. But he's not exactly feeling secure because, of course, Britannicus is still around. And he's the legitimate one too. So, guess who they call in again? Locusta. And she prepares another potion. But this time, Nero wants it to be a quick job. And he's a bit impatient, and apparently her first attempt wasn't deadly enough. So he gives her a good old-fashioned beating, tells her to do better, and demands something stronger, which she delivers. And the poison works like a charm. And the young Britannicus drops dead at a royal dinner party right in front of the other guests. Nero, ever the showman, tries to pass it off an epileptic fit. But most people just don't buy that. But Nero apparently was so thrilled with Locusta's work that he gives her a full pardon, lands, and her own poison academy. He sets her up to train the next generation of poisoners, like Hogwarts, but with a little bit more hemlock. So she now becomes Rome's favourite little death healer, and according to some accounts, she tested her poisons on condemned prisoners to make sure they worked efficiently. Very thorough, very professional, I thought. But things never quite stay the same, do they? In AD 68, Nero's reign comes crashing down in a mess of debts, betrayals, and quite a bit of bad poetry. And the new emperor, Galba, takes over. He decides to clean the house. That means all of Nero's shady friends are shown the door, preferably at the end of a sword or by a noose. And apparently Locusta is arrested, dragged through the streets, and executed, possibly by public hanging. And her death, like her life, is theatrical and probably a bit unpleasant.
Excellent.
That's the story of Locusta,
That's
poisoner of Rome.
I thought I knew I watched I, Claudius, obviously. A long time ago, I, Claudius.
I've read it.
I thought I knew all the ins and outs. I mean, I remember them being poisoned, but I don't. They did it a lot, didn't they? Because they used to have tasters, didn't they?
Yeah.
But
Well, I think that was through not just in Rome. I think that's been through history with all royal family.
high-ranking people.
Yeah, I'm sure Henry the Seventh, Henry the Eighth, and all of those would have had royal
And the thing
tasters.
is, as well, they had like some quite strong tasting stuff like fish sauce, garum, and I mean, you could disguise anything with that, I reckon.
Yeah.
And the other thing, of course, is if you had a slow-acting poison, the taster could be okay for a couple of hours. And then
by which time it's too late.
Then the person that they're trying to poison has already eaten the food thinking it's all right. Yeah. So somebody like her would know all those things, wouldn't they?
Well, she started her own academy.
Yeah.
So that
was never on the careers options at school.
Was it not?
Being
to be a poisoner.
Well, school cook, you know.
Yeah, pharmacist.
I just thought Locusta would fit into our new approach.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so more murders.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
And Liz, What have you got?
Well, I'm afraid I'm going to absolutely shill one of my own things because I have a new pre-order up.
Yay!
Woo! So Maisie book 5 is now up for pre-order. And the book is called Hide and Seek. And this time they're in Paris.
Oh, buddy. I'm doing my French accent again.
Again,
You
yes.
are, yes.
Very impressive.
Is this a
Carol.
regular thing now?
Munch too, munch too.
Oh, gosh.
What's the French for croissants?
Oh, don't. The amount of French I have had to look up when I was writing this book.
That'd throw. I have enough trouble with English language, never mind another language.
But you've got to try and, make decisions about, well, okay, how am I going to manage this? Because, I can get by reasonably well in French. So it's trying to work out how to do it. And of course, some of your characters will speak French fairly well and others not so much.
Yes.
So it's kind of managing that.
How you do it, yes. So some will have an accent and some will struggle a bit.
Yes. And sometimes, they can speak it perfectly well, but they choose to pretend that they can't. So that they can listen in on secret conversations.
So what's the murder?
I was going to say, have you got a bit to read as well?
Oh, I've absolutely got a murder. So, in fact, I've got 2 murders in it.
Well, I would hope so, because we've been nothing but murders so far today.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
I mean, it's in the title, isn't it?
It
Only
is.
murders in my
Well,
hand.
not all my books have got murders.
That's true.
So these 2 murders, without giving anything away, Liz,
Mm.
poison, knife,
Gun.
thrown overboard, dodgy food.
Okay.
Strangulation.
So one of them occurs in a hotel. The other one occurs in the street. One of them involves quite a lot of blood.
That'll be the street one.
I couldn't possibly comment.
I think the street one was somebody coming up and just thinking of Fargo now, chopping his head off. And
Bearing in mind this is 1890s Paris.
okay, it will be a knife of some sort, stiletto knife, I'm guessing.
You are wrong.
Oh, right. Nothing unusual
Don't
there.
play Cluedo.
Will it be in Paris? I think it could be garrote. Is that
Ew.
French?
Carol, today anything you say sounds French.
It certainly does.
Any French listeners, please don't write in to
No,
us.
please
Just
don't.
write to Carol.
I went to Paris once, and by the time we came home, I could say, "No, I don't want that. Go away," because we were being mithered all the time by hawkers. My French was perfect for that. I can't say it now,
So you're not giving anything else away on these murders, then, obviously.
No, because I do want people to actually, read the book rather than giving them all the juicy bits.
Yes, yeah.
So,
Fair enough.
so it was fun to write and interesting because I've not written a book in that series for 4 years.
It must
if
be,
you can believe it. Yeah, so they've allegedly been on their honeymoon for a very long time.
Oh, well, life's a honeymoon if you're in love, isn't it?
It is. Well, they're on their honeymoon now, you see, hence being in Paris.
Yes.
But
it's a time lapse thing, though, isn't it? Because weren't they heading off to Paris for the honeymoon at the end of the last one?
they were, absolutely, and now they're there. So we
Yes.
will just pretend that the intervening 4 years haven't happened.
Yes.
So without pushing, because I know you're not going to tell me how they got murdered. Are the people, the victims, are they known to Maisie? Are they complete strangers?
Oh, they are both known to Maisie.
both known to Maisie.
Well, they are now.
Or was that before? Were they known to her before they were dead?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
they're
right.
not, they're not family or anything.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
But you will find out. But yes, I have also started researching for book 6.
What, off the back of this one?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's partly
Go
where
on.
my visit to your library came in because I picked up
Murder on the Orient Express.
Murder on the Orient Express. So, but you can't guess what's going to be part.
It's going to be on a train. It's going to be on a train. It's going to be on a train.
Some of it might be on a train.
I'm willing to bet it might be the Orient Express.
It's possible.
From Paris to somewhere.
It goes, well, I don't think they're on the right day of the week to go all the way to Constantinople, sadly.
I bet it's not the 8:32 from Paddington to Cleethorpes.
Do you know it isn't?
No, I didn't think it would be.
It's on my bucket list to go on the Orient Express. But have you seen how expensive? And that's from England to Venice. That's all. That's it. So it's quite a short trip. You think you're on the train for 2.5 days.
That's the thing. It's not as long as you would think.
No.
Because I was looking at the timings, obviously, for doing research. And it's well, you'll start from Paris at this time. And then you'll be in, Munich like early doors the next morning, and then you'll be, the next place after that. So.
Yeah, and I think it's a while since I've looked, because when I did look, I was going, it's never going to happen. I think then the prices started at £5,000 per person.
I know Anne's looked at it, and the only thing that's put her off, apart from the price, is that you have to share a loo with other people.
That's exactly what my husband said. I am not paying that sort of money.
To share a loo with
somebody.
Because I was looking up the Orient Express, and it's kind of weird, really, because certainly back in the day, the Wagon League company who ran it, they did a dining car and they did sleeping cars.
Yeah.
And that was it. There was no kind of general sort of saloon where you could all congregate.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And again, I think there was a loo at each end of the sleeping carriage, and that was your lot.
Yeah.
And back in the day, it was like not quite segregated accommodation, but if you were sharing with, you might have to share with a stranger as well if you were travelling solo.
You wouldn't want to do that, would you?
You have to fight over.
Well, it depends who the
top
stranger
bunk.
was.
That's true.
Well, it would be someone of the same gender. So
okay.
Well, some people might be, some people might be very cool with that.
Yeah.
So
there's a look of disappointment on my face and Carol's.
Oh, bless you both. But yes,
it could have been romance on the Orient Express then, couldn't it?
Indeed.
It's just. I suppose it's going back to. I mean, my thoughts were formed by watching films about murder on the Orient Express, and then I watched a documentary about it, a modern day documentary, and it's like,
oh la la,
that little bit of luxury would be so wonderful. But you could do a lot with £5,000.
Yeah. Oh, you absolutely could. Well, back in the day, it was 700 gold francs.
That's a lot of money as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So. Right.
But yes, I did think, do I go for it? And I thought, I can't really miss the opportunity, can I, to have the Orient Express in a book?
Oh, no. No. I mean,
so that's the next one. That's after. Have you finished the present Maisie one?
Yeah. Hide and Seek is going to be out at the end of April.
It's with beta readers now.
It is, yes.
And the next one, book 6?
Book 6.
You started or still researching?
I'm researching this at the moment, but it's getting closer.
With some people, researching for a book or, whatever you're going to write is basically putting off the inevitable. But with Liz, it really is research.
Yes. Yeah.
With me, it's like, I haven't done enough research yet. And that's just me procrastinating the event of actually sitting down and tapping on the old keys.
Well, there is also the point that I'm going to be plotting a book with my friend of the show, Paula Harmon.
Oh, good.
Oh, right.
Later this week as well.
And that is another
series.
Oh, a new one.
A different series.
Yeah.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah. So I don't know very much about it at all. So I'm hoping that, Thursday, Friday this week, we'll get to grips with whatever it's going to be.
Busy.
So by the time this goes out, I'll know. But
the Maisie book 6, when are you hoping for that to?
Oh, okay. Well, if I can get Maisie book 6 written before I start writing the Me and Paula and Me book, I should say. It could maybe be June, July.
All right.
If I get myself moving a bit.
Very good.
So,
very good.
So.
And of course, if you want to find out more about Liz's books, then if you head over to our blog at onlymurdersinmymind.wordpress.com, there are links to Carol's books, Liz's books, and my books. And I think I've also put on there a link to Liz's website, where you can sign up to her newsletter so you get updates on these new books as they're coming along, as well as listening to this show.
Oh, I didn't even have to pay him for that.
No.
That was amazing. Seamless.
Very good.
Seamless. I thought it was seamless.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I
Monsieur
think.
Jackson.
Yes.
So have we
gabbed enough?
Have we done what we were going to do?
I think we more or less
might
have.
done.
Yeah.
Okay then. So will you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Bunch
this has been a slightly different format today, so we would love to know if you've got any thoughts about it. Well, actually, no. We would love to know if you've got any positive thoughts about it. Any thoughts
actually,
at all?
if you hate it, tell us, because
Yeah, just don't swear.
Yeah. Also, many thanks to John, who produces all this, but he's actually got us onto Apple Podcasts as well.
Oh, yes.
So we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on YouTube, and on Spotify.
Yeah.
We
so
are.
if Apple is more convenient for you, we are now there.
Yes.
So in other words, There is no escaping us.
No.
We are everywhere.
We are here. We are here to
Afraid
stay.
so.
Yeah.
And we're about to come out with some shorts on YouTube.
Yay! Look for them.
Look out for those. They'll be coming in the next couple of weeks or so.
Yeah, and I'm going to be not appearing, but you're going to hear my voice on Instagram, promoting the podcast as well. So we'll call it a day there. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Let us know, and we'll see you all again, same time next week. Bye for now. You have been listening to Only Murders in My Mind, a Random Thought production, produced by John Bissett. The music in Peril was composed and recorded by OM Studio Strings.